Real happy to have the information that I sent him that you wrote down. And can you hear me okay, Earl? Can you hear me now?
I can't hear you. You have to get on this
Okay.
side.
Okay, all right.
I'm on the side where he can hear now. So let me start over.
Okay. Hey, George, how old is Earl now?
He is 99. This past April, 26th day of April, he turned 99 of this year.
Wow, that's amazing.
Okay, so Earl, this is Matt. Matt works for the Times Union, and he's really thrilled to be able to do what we're doing today. He was excited, his editor's excited, so we're going to go slow, and we're going to communicate. And can you hear me now okay? Mm-hmm. You're getting it? Mm-hmm. Okay, all right.
Hey, George. Okay, I wonder if you could tell me what it felt like when he was preparing to jump on D-Day.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
You know, what was going through his mind? Did he know he knew this was a major operation, obviously. What was going through his mind as a young paratrooper, knowing he was going?
Let me add something to that. He was 22, and everybody else was 18.
Sure.
Just as a tidbit.
And was that and did he jump on the morning of the 6th?
12:45 a.m. June the 6th, 1944.
Okay, so real early. Okay.
Yep. One of the first planes over.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm going to address that question that you just.
I just wondering, what was going through his mind?
Okay.
Was he eager to be there? Was he terrified? Was he, all that stuff?
Okay. Earl, his question was, what did you feel and think on the morning that you were about to get on the plane to go to Germany and jump? What were you thinking about?
I was just wondering how we was going to get out of that airplane without getting the aircraft shot down. I wasn't worried about jumping.
Did you get that, Matt? Yeah. He was concerned that they would go down in the plane. The Germans was knocking holes in the plane. Ack,
Yeah, did he know that he was part of a huge operation, or was it like sort of he had his own thing to do?
I got it. Did you know this was a big operation, or did you know just a little bit of information? Eisenhower spoke to you all, I know that, but did you know how big the operation was, Earl? Did you know?
Yeah, I knew approximately how large it would be. We'd been pretty well briefed on the whole operation before we left the airport.
Yeah.
And we knew pretty much what was going to happen. And Eisenhower told us, there's going to be a lot of you standing here today that won't come back. And I just figured I might be one of those guys.
Yeah. That must have just been terrifying.
And I believe I've heard the numbers that 17,000 paratroopers participated in that invasion behind the lines. And if you want me, I'll have Earl tell you their mission. You want to hear about the mission?
Sure.
Okay, Earl, what were your mission when you got to the ground? What were y'all supposed to do?
Well, our primary mission was to help clear the Omaha Beach for the people coming in off of the sea to it was brought in by the Navy. They was the troops that was going to take the beachheads in Omaha, on Omaha Beach.
Yeah.
And our primary mission was to help clear that beach for them to come in. And we did part of it. We had demolition people that that got behind the lines of the Germans and knocked out a lot of the artillery and machine guns, but they didn't get them all.
Yes.
Air Force didn't do their primary duty. They should have knocked out all those artillery, machine guns on the front lines before the Navy got there. I mean, before the troops coming off of the beach got there.
Yeah.
But they had come in earlier and done a little damage, but they didn't completely clear the beach for the guys coming in.
Yeah. Your jump went wrong, didn't it? I mean, you didn't. Everything went wrong, didn't it, to start?
Yeah, Earl. He says, tell him how you got off the plane. Y'all missed your jump site, I believe you said, and they scattered you out. And tell him when you met up with the first one of your guys.
Well, the aircraft was the Germans were shooting at the aircraft, and the pilots in the aircraft was trying to dodge tracer bullets coming up from the ground, and that's why they scattered us out. And when I landed, I tried to find some of the people that was with me, but they got scattered out a long ways from me, and I didn't make contact with them till the next morning.
Really? So what'd you do that first day?
Can I interrupt just a minute here?
Yeah.
If you remember, they all had these little clickers in their hands. It sounded like a cricket. Do you remember that?
Something that come in
Yes.
popcorn, you know.
Yeah, like something you come in Cracker Jacks or something. And that's how they tried to connect with each other. It was those little clickers. He met other GIs, but none of them were out of his unit, out of his outfit. There was just so many of them, and they got all four of their jump zone was. And so, okay, Earl, go ahead.
Matt asked another question, but I don't remember what it was.
Matt, what was the last question you posed?
So what did he do that first day?
Yeah.
You know, being cut off from his other men.
What?
Was it hours of
Yes.
being...
Earl, how long did it take from 12:45 when y'all jumped till you got up with one of your soldiers that you...
What did they
One of
do?
your soldiers.
He wants to know what Earl did.
6 or 7 o'clock the next morning, before I contacted my squadron commander.
Yeah, but what was Earl doing in the
okay.
meantime?
And he was the only one at that time, and we had to locate. The others kept coming in like I did. A lot of the others kept coming in until the biggest part of us got together.
Yeah.
Those that didn't get wounded or killed.
So let me... He wants to know, Earl, what did you do once you landed on the ground? What was your assignment? What goes on there until you meet up with a 7 a.m. Member?
Well, when I first landed, I tried to contact some of the people that was in my outfit, in my company that I was in, but I didn't locate any right off, but I ran into 506 parachute people, and I joined up with them and stayed with them the rest of the night till we got, next morning I ran into my company commander.
Okay, on the morning of D-Day, right?
June the 6th, yes.
Yeah, he met up with them. Yeah, so it was several hours in the dark.
Right.
I actually got with the 506 people by clicking. I don't know which one of us did it, but we answered one another. That's how I first got with them.
So then from 7 a.m. when you met up with your company commander, then you all were being attacked by the Germans and you were attacking the Germans?
What was that last thing?
Okay. After 7 a.m. you got up with your company commander, And what were y'all doing for the rest of the day there? Were y'all being attacked by the Germans and you were attacking the Germans? Is that kind of the way it happened?
Well, yeah, they was, we was trying to defend ourselves against the Germans while we was going towards the beach, in Omaha Beach.
Yeah.
And our primary job was to clear the beaches of Germans on the road to the beach itself, and then behind the lines, behind the German lines, we had demolition people. Their primary job was to clear the beaches of artillery fire and machine gun fire, mortar fire, and any other fire the Germans had. That was their primary job. And the people was coming in on boats to the beaches, and we eventually got the road to the beach cleared, and the demolition people knocked out enough artillery and all other kind of fire, and that helped the people to get in the beach, but they didn't get it all clear.
Yeah.
The Germans were still trying to keep the people from coming into the beach, but they got enough of it cleared that the people eventually got in on the beach, but many of them got killed.
Yeah.
And the Germans had a fence set up in the entry to the beach with barbed wire on it, and that hindered the people coming in from the beach.
Yeah. No, George and Earl, I understand this was, I believe, his first combat experience.
Yes.
What is it like to be in combat for the first time?
Okay. He's asking, Earl, what was it like to be in combat for the first time? You've done all the training. What was going through your mind?
Well, I wasn't so much worried about getting killed. I was just trying to stay alive and protect myself, and that's what I did. Along with the other troops, I wasn't by myself. We was all. Our company commander was directing us what to do, and occasionally we had a sniper up in front of us, a German sniper. And we had people, I wasn't one of those, but we had people that would try to knock out the snipers. And we all joined together to try to eliminate all of the German fire, which we eventually did.
Yeah.
And had the beach cleared.
George, he must have felt a long way away from Live Oak, Florida.
Yes.
Yeah, he did. He did. Trust me, he was raised on a farm, and I bet he had never left the state of Florida at that point, other than training up in Alabama and Camp Shanks in New York, where they caught the boat. So
now he saw a lot more action in World War II. Can you ask him if was it just overwhelming what the things he saw? Did he kind of take it as a matter of fact? I mean,
well, they were first. Let's say this, Matt. They were scared to death. They were scared. Yeah. They were scared. The adrenaline was just flowing so in their bodies, and those machine guns would cut people in two. And so.
Has he told you that before?
He's so modest. He's very modest about that. I don't ask him. Did he kill a German? Did he have a friend die right in front of his eyes? I don't want him bringing back that kind of memory, if you understand. And now,
I understand.
You know what he's just told you, where he's at. They're coming in from behind the Germans, okay? They're coming from the east, and the boats are coming from the west, and the Germans is in the middle. Yeah. And their primary job is to knock out those pillboxes where those machine guns are. And those big guns that's knocking holes in ships out in the ocean. And they have these satchels with charges in these satchels. And they run up in front of the pillbox or to the side, and they throw that satchel of explosives inside that bunker and tries to stop that fire. You heard him say their job was to stop the fire, and they finally did. They accomplished that goal. So, Earl, were you close by when a GI was killed right in front of you? If you don't mind, you mind mentioning or talking about that? If you don't want to talk about that, you don't have to.
Well, yeah, I was close to some of them when they got killed, and a lot of them got wounded. I was close to them. I can't remember the names now, but I knew all of them at that time. But I was very close to wounded people and those that got killed.
Yeah. Did he, George, do you mind me asking, did he feel like he was fighting for something bigger, you know, like for his country or for freedom? What was he fighting for?
Okay, that's a pretty good question. That's pretty open-ended.
Yeah.
Earl, he's asking you, I know you were wanting to stay alive, but he wants to know, what did you think you were fighting for? What did you think you were fighting for that day?
Well, I think I thought about our country more than anything else. You know, I figured it was a job we had to do. Even if we all got killed, we had to try to stop the Germans. And my primary thoughts, I think, was for my country.
Yeah.
And for my family and friends back home.
Yeah.
Does that sound like a hero to you?
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Now, he'll tell you he ain't no hero, because all the heroes are buried over there in France and Belgium and all that. So he's very, very modest, as you'll continue to see.
I bet. Did he ever have the heart to watch Saving Private Ryan?
I'll ask him that. Have you seen it? Have you seen it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said
Spielberg did it the best that anybody could.
Yeah. Did he ever see it?
I don't know. Let me ask him. Earl, did you ever get to see a movie called Saving Private Ryan? Did you get to see that? Have you seen that? Okay.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I don't know if he would want to see that, because that would bring memories, but he doesn't. Yeah. I mean, I think he could handle it. I would love to for him. I'd love to sit down with him and watch it.
And I was struck in the story that you all sent me about after the war, how he met Myrtle, I believe.
Was that a good story?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell me, have him tell me what it felt like to meet, if he doesn't mind, what it felt like to meet Myrtle after going through everything that he went through, Okay. Okay. He went through so much, and then he comes home and meets this girl.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by that.
Which I don't know if you put it together, but his brother and his brother's wife, it's in that print I sent you. Mm-hmm. They were in a donut. They were in the donut business, and one of Myrtle, who is his wife's sister, worked in that donut shop. And so Earl would go in and get donuts, and one day the sister introduced.
Myrtle was a beautician. She was working for.
Yeah, let him.
Okay, all right.
Let him tell the story.
Let me. We got him where we want him right now. So, all right, ask that question one more time.
After going through everything that he went through, it must have been sweet to meet a nice girl.
Mm-hmm.
After going through all that you went through,
in the war,
and you got back after the war alive, because God had a plan for your life, what was it like to meet a nice girl after all you went through?
Well, I was happy to meet my wife, and I knew right off that I was very interested in dating her, and I asked for a date with her, and she accepted, And of course, I was in the Air Force at that time. When I got discharged from the Army, I joined the Air Force 3 months later. And we kept dating to eventually we decided to get married.
What was it about her that he liked right off the bat?
These are good questions. Okay, Earl, he says, what interests you most about Myrtle when you first met her right off the bat? What did you like about her most?
Well, she was just a sweet person, and she was enjoyable to talk to. And
Yes.
After we started dating, she was just such a nice lady, and always was. And we just enjoyed one another. And I told her how much that I cared for her and that I loved her, and she said the same about me. And that's why when I asked her to marry, she accepted.
Yeah. That's sweet. You can't ask for much more than that, George.
And listen, he stayed by her bedside till she didn't breathe no more. And in that stuff I sent you,
Yeah.
I tried my best to take him to Washington to see the new World War II memorial. I would love to have took him back to France and see Normandy. He said, George, I can't leave Myrtle. I got to stay here and take care of Myrtle. Now that's the devotion here to his nation and to his wife.
Now, George, you told me, could you ask him, you told me he doesn't feel like a hero, but I'd like to ask him, does he consider himself a hero for what he did?
Okay. That's fine.
Okay, he knows your feelings about the heroes. He's asking you, do you feel like a hero, Earl?
No, I didn't feel like a hero. My opinion, the real heroes was the guys that were fighting and got killed.
Yeah.
They gave their life. I didn't give my life by getting killed, but these guys, they was doing all they could do to stay alive, but they didn't make it. And to me, they're the real heroes.
Yeah. George, would you mind asking him, the 22-year-old Earl Mills, could he have imagined being a 99-year-old Earl sitting on his front porch in Live Oak?
That's a tough one. That's a tough one there. Matt, you told me you were good at this, but I believe it now.
Does he want to know? Did he want to know why I went back into service after I discharged?
We may get to that. I don't know how much time. Here's this question. Let me see if I can get it back like you said.
The 22-year-old Earl, could he have imagined being a 99-year-old
Okay,
Earl
okay.
sitting on his front porch in a rocking chair?
Okay. Here's the question, Earl. Could you imagine as a 22... At 22, could you imagine that you would be today sitting on the front porch at age 99? Can you imagine that?
No, I never figured I'd live this long.
And who gets credit for this long life, Earl? Who gets credit for this long life?
God is the one that let me live this long, and I give him all the honor and the glory and the praise for letting me live this long. And I want to live as long as he wants me to live. But when my time's up, I figure he'll take me.
That's great.
Matt, can we call him a national treasure? Are you okay with that? If we can't call him a hero, we'll call him a national treasure.
I'm okay with that. Does he think much back on World War II? Does he think back on it much?
Here's
His experience in it?
He asked the question, Earl. Do you sometimes think back about World War II and what you did and how you got through it all? Do you ever think about that now or no?
Occasionally I do. But the older I get, the less I think about it.
Yeah. And why did he join the Air Force and spend so long in the Air Force?
Okay, that's a good question. He's asking the question now, Earl. Why did you go back into the Air Force? What was the reason for that?
Well, I was out of the service for 3 months, and I was real restless. I didn't figure I wanted to go back to the farm where I was raised, and I thought about what kind of career I was going to have, and I never could settle with that because I was so restless from and real nervous from being in the war, and the Air Force was recruiting people, and I didn't want to go back in the airborne because I figured if I did, that I might not be so lucky to get out of it again.
That's true.
Yeah.
And so I decided on the Air Force, and they gave me an exam. You had to take a pretty stiff exam at that time to get in the Air Force, and I took the exam and passed it, and so I stayed with the Air Force till I had 20 years and 23 days, and I retired.
Cool.
I'm going to get you a question to ask Earl so he can give you an answer. And we're rambling a little bit, but that's okay because I know you can put all this in chronological order. Here's the question I'm going to pose to him. I'm going to ask him why did he want to become a paratrooper. I think here's what he's told me before. It paid $2 a month more. I believe. But let me rephrase that. Earl, he's asking, did you not think being a paratrooper was pretty dangerous? He wants to know why you left an infantry job and wanted to be a paratrooper. Tell him why you wanted to be a paratrooper.
Well, I was in the National Guard outfit. We got moved to Columbus, Georgia, and they had a parachute outfit there in Columbus, Georgia.
Fort Benning,
Georgia.
Yeah.
And I got to going over there and watching those guys, and I got interested in parachute jumping. So that's whenever I put in for a transfer from the infantry outfit I was in, and I got accepted. And I was like a lot of other guys that we got moved to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and so if we left Fort Bragg to go through the parachute training, I couldn't come back. I didn't have approval that I would be back with the same outfit I was with, so I was along with a lot of other guys that didn't go back, and we kept on. We trained with the paratroopers, but we wasn't jumping. But we got shipped to England, and they set up a parachute training school in England, and that's the one I went through.
Okay.
Earl, you've told me one time that you wanted to go paratrooper because some of your friends did you get your friends to go, or you were one of the only ones that went, but you mainly did it because you got a pay raise?
Well, yeah, that was interesting too. We get paid very much at that time. I can't remember right now exactly how much I was paid, but I think the paratrooper was $25 a month, $20 or $25 a month.
Wow.
And $25 for a boy that was raised in the Depression on a farm in Florida was a ton of money for him at that time.
That was his salary, was $25 a month?
No, he got a bump. He got a bump of 25 to jump out of a darn airplane. Just as a side note, you don't need to print this. I was stationed there in 1970, and I watched them jump out of them same towers that he did, breaking their arms and legs. They had an outfit next to our barracks where they sent all the injured boys, and it was unbelievable how many were banged up and tore up. So anyways.
I'll bet.
How high
was he when he on D-Day?
Graduated for the parachute. You got that paper?
I think we sent it to him, didn't
It's in
we?
that book.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Now, what was the last question?
When he jumped on D-Day, how high was he? How high was the plane traveling when he jumped? Does he know?
Do you know what the elevation was the day you jumped out of in Normandy? Do you know how high the plane was in the air? Do you happen to know?
Well, that was 4,000 or 5,000 feet. I don't recall. That was high enough that we were above the treetops.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's good.
I think that elevation was probably 4,000 or 5,000 feet.
Okay. Wow. And does he have any thoughts about his experience in the Battle of the Bulge, which is also where my father was caught? Was a 19-year-old infantryman.
Okay. I've casually told him that, but I'll remind him about your father. Okay, Earl, he wants to talk a little bit about the Battle of the Bulge, because that's where his daddy was at when he got captured by the Germans. Okay, this boy's daddy was there the same time you were around Bastogne in the Battle of the Bulge. So he's asked.
His brother was there.
No, his father.
Oh.
His father was captured by the Germans.
Oh.
Okay, so he's asking me, what do you remember about Bastogne in the Battle of the Bulge? Tell him what you remember. Of course, you got wounded. Now go ahead.
Well, I remember how cold it was.
Yeah.
We, in a foxhole that we were in, had icicles in them.
Yeah.
And we only had the clothes that we had on. We wasn't prepared for winter. And the whole ground and the trees was covered with snow. And it was freezing cold. And when we left to go to the Battle of the Bulge, we were told to put on the clothes that we could wear, the warm clothes, and to take all the socks we could carry. And I had socks packed around me. And while we were in Bastogne, we changed our socks. If we'd had a chance, we changed our socks daily, or I did, and that kept my feet from freezing. A lot of guys' feet froze, and a lot of them died from the cold weather. They weren't prepared for it.
So you carried as many socks as you could?
Yes, he did. He had them stuffed all in his shirt, which was able to keep him heated. He had frostbite on his feet when he was there around Bastogne. You know the story about Bastogne. For a week during Christmas of '44, the Germans asked him to. It's in that material.
Yeah.
Does he remember what outfit his brother was in?
Do you remember what kind of you remember the outfit that your daddy was in?
I don't have it right offhand.
Okay, that's okay.
But I do remember he had his regimental book.
Well,
and he'd written some notes in the front about the dates that he was there and everything. And I remember there was one point where he just listed in a row about, I think it was 8 or 9 days. And beside each entry, he just wrote, in foxhole, in foxhole, in foxhole.
That was his daily diary. He
was in a foxhole for like 8 or 9 days,
Yeah. When you review this part of the story, take notice about how they rushed Earl and them. They had been kind of resting, but the Germans made that big breakthrough at that time.
Yeah.
And they put them on cattle cars. And they stuck them in there just as tight as they could stick them in, and rushed them to the German front, and they got stuck there around Bastogne.
Okay.
So just as a side note. So.
Okay.
Anyways.
What can you ask him? What makes him happy nowadays? What does he like to do these days? Like. The cows, probably, I imagine. But what brings him joy these days?
That's a good question. He's so happy. Okay, he's just anyways, his question is now, what makes you happy and content now these days that you're living now? And he knows that you miss Myrtle a lot. Okay, so just tell him what makes you happy now.
Well, I'm happy because Myrtle and I, both Christians, and even though Myrtle's not with me, according to God's word, I will be with her again in heaven.
Yeah.
And that's comforting to me, even though I know she's in a better place than I am. And I'll be so happy to see her again.
Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you.
Is that impressive?
Yeah.
I didn't twist his arm or nothing.
No, he's sharp. He's sharp as a tack.
I was
you
in
all
headquarters company.
outside Live Oak? Where exactly are you?
He wants to tell something.
Hold up just a minute. Earl wants to say something.
Sure.
Go ahead, Earl. Say.
I was in headquarters company, 502nd Parachute Regiment.
He was 502nd Parachute?
Yep. Headquarters.
Headquarters company.
Headquarters company.
That was a heavy weapons company. We had 81 mortars and heavy machine guns.
That was one of the edits on the second draft that I sent you. He left that out. That was 81 millimeter mortar. He actually carried the mortar tank or the tube. He carried the tube, Matt. And
okay.
So I just wanted to make sure you knew what his job was, which the Germans tried their best to knock those guys out because, as you know, a mortar, this was the largest mortar that they carried. They had one about half that size, but this was for long range, trying to, hit the Germans way off. And anyways, that was what he did.
I think that's what my dad did too.
Was a mortar man?
Yeah, he never talked much about it until he was almost gone. But
listen, my dad was the same way. He would never talk, but before he died, he got on a dadgum cassette tape deck and told almost verbatim from the day he landed in Germany and was escorted to the front lines until the day the war ended. And
wow,
that's what's motivated me to get Earl, because he's got a lot bigger, longer, more sacrificial story. My dad, the night he was there, I told you that first night one of his friends got killed by a sniper. So it wasn't like the war was over. People were still dying.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, maybe, George, maybe we can talk on Monday a little bit. I'll give you a call and we can talk a little bit more about Earl and everything. But
okay.
I'll let him go now. I've taken enough of his time.
Well, he's content now. He's real content now, but if you need to do something else, we understand. I mean, and I know you covered a lot, and you look through that paperwork, if you will. And
if he has any more questions.
We're going to get... I want to get time to get what portraits we've got.
Please, yes.
Okay.
So go ahead and do that.
Okay.
Thank you all. Please tell Earl, thank you so much. And Sheila, thank you.
Okay. All
Thank
right.
you, Matt.
Okay.
And your niece.
So we will,
Okay, yeah.
my wife, we will take the pictures like I told you out on the farm, and then we'll take the pictures the best we can, and we'll try to put a label on there so you'll know what's going on.
Yeah,
So-
if there's anything from him in his uniform back around that day, or even in the Air Force, something showing the young Earl
Yeah.
would be great.
Earl?
Or a picture of him and Myrtle too, back when they were.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It's a gorgeous picture. Do you have a picture of you in your uniform, maybe a full body shot?
Or just a headshot.
A headshot, just a headshot, maybe with your beret or your cap, even the Air Force picture. He needs that for the paper.
Well, that book.
Okay.
It's got my picture in it.
Okay, but it's about this big though, isn't it? It's about this big.
That's okay.
Okay.
If you all can just take a picture of it.
Newspaper got
text
a
it to
larger
me.
picture on it.
Okay. Okay. He's got some documents. We're gonna
Okay.
we're gonna go through the documents and put the information by the document. Right, Sheila? We can do that.
Sure.
Okay. And then we'll be in touch. Okay. Matt,
Thank you all so much.
Matt, it's the honor's ours. The honor is ours, by the way. I've got.
Please express what an honor it was to me. For me, thank you.
Yeah. Bye now.
I'd like to know if he.
Wait. Hang on.
Hold on, Matt. He's trying to say something. Go ahead, Earl.
I'd like to know what outfit his dad was in.
You can text that.
I can find it and let you know.
Okay.
Okay, Earl. He's going to look for that information. He'll get it to me, and I'll get it to you.
Okay.
See, listen. Does this confirm what I wanted to do? Does this just?
Exactly.
I wanted somebody to be in touch with him. Okay. Thank you, Matt.
Beautiful.
Thank
Thank you so much.
God bless you.
Really appreciate it. Bye-bye. Thank you, Earl.